Little Dragon is a Swedish quartet tantalizing a vast audience with downtempo electronic pop. Helming the vocals, Yukimi Nagano captivates with smooth and sensual melodies over music adopted from disco, new wave and vocal jazz. You're tuned into Roots to Grooves.
Welcome everybody. We're excited to be here. We're based in Seattle, Washington. I am Jesse Quigley. Sitting across from me, as always, is Jay Purcell, and that makes this Roots to Grooves. What's up, Jay?
Good afternoon, good evening, good day
It's a very good day.
to everybody.
It's summertime in Seattle, 2022. We're talking about Little Dragon.
Yeah.
You know, Little Dragon just played Marymore Park a few days ago.
I think Little Dragon played across the street from the studio way back in the day. Upstream Music Festival used to happen around this neighborhood, and there was a KEXP. They took over the empty restaurant that's down on the corner. It wasn't empty back then. It was called the London Plane or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And I think there's a KEXP video of Little Dragon playing live across the street. Like literally, if you're in the studio, you can look out the window and see where they played. But there you go.
We missed it.
We missed it. That was years ago, though. That was like 4 years. That was pre-COVID, BC.
Goodness gracious. I'm bummed, though. Just a few days ago, they played Marymore Park, opening up for London Bridges.
Oh, London. Okay.
Not London.
No.
Leon Bridges?
Leon Bridges. Okay,
Something like that.
Yes,
I was thinking of the nursery rhyme, London Bridges Fall Down.
Does he have that song, A Dollar? A Dollar Is All I Need, or is that someone else?
I don't know, Jay.
Okay. All right,
I don't know that.
Yeah.
I just know they opened up because I heard from word of mouth. And then
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I heard, they didn't say who was opening. I had no idea it was Little Dragons. And that was before you sent Little Dragons as what we were going to talk about this week.
Oh, wow.
So serendipity, you guys. And
Complete random on my part as well, because I was just like, you know, who are we going to talk about this week? And looked through my Spotify things, and I was like, oh, yeah, Little Dragon. I can't remember what they sound like, but I know they're good, and we should probably talk about them. And it was an opportunity to make me re-listen to their music again, which is cool.
it was a great choice.
Rediscover how great they are. Yeah, so it's like a 4-piece, right?
Swedish quartet.
Swedish quartet. They've been around since the late 2010s.
I think as early 2005, 2006.
Okay, yeah. And we'll talk about the early years earlier, but yeah, 4-piece. So we have on vocals Yukimi Nagano. She goes by Yuki, I think.
Cool. Vocals, keyboards, percussion sometimes.
Yeah. Frederick Wallen, keyboards, synth, bass guitar.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm going to do the second easiest name to say first. Eric Bowden on drums.
Ooh, took the easy way.
And then Jesse can say the name of the other
Come on. Let me practice in my head. Hakan Wirenstrand?
Something like that. Sorry,
I don't
man.
know.
It's because it has an accent on the A. Hakan
And I have no idea what that means.
Wirenstrand.
Is it Hakan?
Could be.
The first A has to sound different than the second A, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So it's Hakan or Hackane. Help us out, guys. Help us out.
I feel like we're being disrespectful to Wirenstrand. We'll just call him Wirenstrand.
HW.
We just call him HW.
Keyboards and drums. We really don't mean any disrespect.
No.
I just don't know anything about how to pronounce words from different
I
countries.
think it's because
stuff.
we hadn't like actually practiced it before recording, and it was like, oh, we're here now. We have to say this name in front of us.
We should add it to our, research, like pronunciation. Like look it up. I think we should maybe add that.
We should definitely do that. Yeah. To show respect for these
show
people.
respect. But yeah,
so it's their music. I don't know. It's crazy to me. It's. Do you want to say something?
I'm ready to fire.
Okay, go.
Synth pop.
Okay.
Alternative dance.
Yeah.
Indie electronic.
Yeah.
Alternative indie rock.
R&B, neo soul.
Yeah.
Little bit of damn it, I had the name of this band on the tip of my tongue from Melbourne, Australia that we did a show about. Hiatus Coyote. There
You got it. Nice.
They remind me of Hiatus Coyote a lot.
Sure. Yeah. Female singer. And R&B, vibey music.
Because to me, a lot of their stuff sounds like R&B. But I think the cool thing about this group, Little Dragon, is that they're pulling all these different inspirations, from like, I think I saw one woman interview them saying like you got like the 70s vibe, but then you have like the electronic vibe from the early 2000s, and then you got the R&B. But for anyone that likes like someone like myself that is really into those separate genres, it's kind of like a celebration of those different genres in this band. Like they've got their kind of clubby, dancey sound, but they've got their R&B things. You know, it's kind of all in there. It's like really, for a big music head of, you know, that's into all these different vibes, I think it's a great band to like
100%.
Like, yeah, Little Dragon. Yeah.
And just to give a little bit of context, we've talked about gorillas.
Yeah.
For me, this was really like an intense observation during research that they were on the Plastic Beach record. Little Dragon appeared as a feature on one of the tracks on that record.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a great track off a great record.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe that I've heard this band years ago.
Right. Yeah.
Like 10 years ago.
Right.
Longer than that. And I just had no idea who Little Dragon was, never looked into him.
Yeah.
And here we are today, full circle, getting to learn about him. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my first thing when I was researching this band. I didn't know who it was, Jay's pick this week. And I was just very blown away. So very cool.
And apparently, Damon Albarn behind Gorillaz, it was Damon Albarn's wife that suggested Little Dragon as a collab.
Wow.
So she'd already heard their stuff, and it was like, maybe you should like get them on. And yeah,
amazing.
Plastic Beach. There you go.
So I mean, anyway, I'm just hyped on this stuff because it's very good music.
Yeah, and I think if people haven't heard the Gorillaz thing, they've done lots of other collabs throughout the years. Some of them I forgot about until I just literally, before we went on air, looked this up. DJ Shadow.
Mm-hmm. Did an episode on him.
There's a track called Scale It Back. There's even a music video. Neither DJ Shadow or Little Dragon are in the music video, but it's a very funny, good music video and a great track. But Flying Lotus, Flume, Odessa, K Tronada, Mac Miller, and Future are all other artists that Little Dragon have collaborated with.
Those are all very contemporary.
Yeah,
like
big artists.
Yeah, like really happening.
Yeah,
like really respected in the industry artists.
Yeah,
so that says a lot. That's high praise.
And another one that snuck up on me that people don't maybe know, Subtract, but I seem to be just talking about Subtract all the time on these things, because Subtract, big feature with Sampha. We did an episode on Sampha, and Joe, what's her name?
Rogan.
Joe Rogan, no.
Joe.
Oh my Jesus Christ!
I'm not sure the context what you're talking about. Joe.
You know the failed. Yeah, maybe it's not Joe. The failed show that we did a few times.
Joe.
Get Joe out of your head. It was maybe a different name. Oh,
Jesse Ware.
Jesse Ware. How did I forget your name's Jesse?
Bro.
Jesse Ware episode as well. We talked about Subtract. He comes up a lot. I haven't heard about him for a while. He hasn't released anything for a while, but
he's in a lot of.
But Little Dragon, on the first Subtract album, killer track that they did together as well. So yeah, so I mean, but I think one thing I've heard about Little Dragon say is they haven't actually invited any collaborators onto their own albums. They have like 6 albums out, but they don't really have anyone featured on them. But on the flip side, they've gone out and done a lot of stuff with other people, kind of thing. So yeah,
I think that's cool.
Yeah,
like keeping it in house.
Yeah.
Like this is our band, and everything that we put out is us, and it's all us.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
No rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
I'm saying do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Feature, sample, it's all good.
Right.
But I also respect when they're like, nah, this is our project and we're going to release what we release together.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to say is that they're 4 strong, like minded and willed people. They love music. They all seem really cool, down to earth. And they're all like, they have conviction over what they want to create. And so, we'll talk about it a little bit as we go, but they've had arguments and they get into it and they get a little bit heated. And even that we can talk about the band name, because I think one of them got a little bit heated.
Right.
And do you want to tell that story a little bit? I mean, it's a short story.
Well, I guess the urban legend, or maybe not so urban legend, because I think they talked about it. The name Little Dragon comes from the fact that Yuki used to be get a little bit heated in the studio. Arguments arose, creative arguments, I think. And she got the nickname Little Dragon. But I think it was just like, as we'll talk about it, they started out pretty young. So,
Sure.
you know, I don't think it was anything big. Obviously, they've been around now 25 years, actually. So even though they're relatively new to us listeners and people are still getting knowing of them, they actually have known each other for like 25 years and they've been a band together making music. So, you know, you can just imagine any band, any member being around anyone for that amount of time. There's ups and downs and stuff like
100%.
that. So
Spending that much time around anybody, you know, you kind of become family.
Yeah.
It's certainly a relationship in a band.
but they must have some kind of sense of humor about them if they called a Little Dragon because of being feisty in the studio and it's their band name now. So,
Yeah. I mean, I bet it's a hilarious story for them.
Yeah.
It was like a tension breaker, like, oh, look at that, Little Dragon's back.
Maybe it's just another thing of like band names around here that are just, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, don't.
Exactly.
I guess the thing, don't get in your head too much about what the band's called or the project's called as well. Like, because that's something we all struggle with quite a bit, and it maybe should just be not something. It should, like the music, it should come from somewhere else, not from your head, not from thinking about it. Like, and it seems like that happened for Little Dragon. Maybe.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Very
yeah.
high quality music, high quality discography all the way through from what I've heard. And I listen to as much as possible, but just every track is good.
Yeah.
So
Let's play this track, Constant Surprises, off of, I believe, their very first album, 2007, self-titled Little Dragon.
I was walking home looking at the trees. Got the feeling that they were looking back at me. Thoughts that occurred to me, not of the usual kind, and I don't take that for granted. No, I don't call them mine. I don't call them mine, 'cause in my life things are built on, they're built on surprises coming my way. Some call it coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Constant surprises coming my way. Some call it coincidence, but I like to call it fate. The higher forces want to connect. Last night in my dream, I was talking to you. You know who you are, where you're dreaming to. 'Cause in my life, things are built on, they're built on. Constant surprises coming my way. Some call it coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Constant surprises coming my way. Some call it coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Then on my way home, I met this guy. And he was not so shy, and not that kind. We spoke, and suddenly I could read his mind. You think it's bad, but but I don't fool myself. You think it's odd, 'cause in my life, things are built on, the build on, the build on. Some kind of coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Constant surprises coming my way. Some kind of coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Constant surprises coming my way. Some kind of coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Constant surprises coming my way. Some kind of coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Constant surprises coming my way. Some kind of coincidence, but I like to call it fate.
Constant Surprises by Little Dragon off of their self-titled debut album came out in 2007. And this is Rich to Grooves with me, Jesse Quigley over here.
Holla at your boy.
And yeah, I mean, that's a sweet track. I like the lyrics in that.
Yeah, I mean, it just takes you away. Like, totally vibe. I forgot we were on a podcast.
I know, yeah. I was just like tripping out. I was just like imagining walking down with like trees blowing around, a little bit psychedelic. Like, something like
They got
that.
those synths going and stuff. It's very good.
Off kilter as well. It's funny. It sounds like the bass is doing something completely different than what the drums are doing.
Yeah,
But
really syncopated.
But they go together really well.
Yeah, it's really spaced out.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, Little Dragon. Let's dive on in.
Yeah.
Where are these guys from? We said they were Swedish.
Right. They're from Gothenburg,
Gotham.
which is the second largest city in Sweden, apparently. Home of Volvo, the car,
Oh, really?
apparently. Yeah. Various universities there.
I know it was founded as a heavily fortified, primarily Dutch trading colony by royal charter in 1621 by King Gustavus Adolphus.
There we go.
So,
Yeah.
a history lesson for us all.
Here's a photo of King Gustavus. No,
There he is. Look at him. What a guy.
I'm sure we can find. I'm gonna see if I can find a.
Don't say it and
old,
don't put the photos up.
Old rendition.
There he is. There he is.
Some painting or something. Yeah, a lot of the members of the band still live there. So
Very cool.
You know, I don't know who, but they're just like very sort of down to earth group. They all met in high school. I think. Yeah.
Did they know each other before then? They knew each other for quite a long time. As far as I knew, I saw the word childhood.
I think some of the guys did, but Yuki didn't know the rest of them until she just started high school, and then
Okay.
she met them, the other guys. They might have known each other beforehand.
Okay. Either way, they've known each other since, adolescence.
Yeah, like I think they said mid 90s, late 90s. Yeah.
So they were friends in mid-90s, didn't start their band actually making music until like 2005 or so.
Yeah, so I think like originally they just got together and hung out as friends and bonded around music, a shared love of like similar artists and stuff like that. Like De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest, Alice Coltrane, like these types of artists. And through that, I think they started to sort of jam together. They used to get together and jam, and it just sounded like a hangout thing. And doing covers of these songs and listening to these songs, they said it didn't occur to them to record anything like for a while because this is we've talked about a lot of different artists in this time period. I remember growing up in this time period as well, late 90s, where computer music was a new thing. Four-track club, that's what we all did back then as bands and all that.
It's the only way.
It's the only way to record, I think, yeah. But I think we've also mentioned it on other like podcasts where like if you think about it, a lot of bands back in the day, like maybe like Rolling Stones and Beatles and all that, like they were just getting together and playing live and then doing shows. Like the opportunity to record didn't like
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And so, like, obviously, we're in a different time period when Little Dragon got together. They did have the ability to record, but I guess as teenagers, they were just more about just getting together and jamming. No one really had the equipment to record like what they were doing, because even back then, 4-tracks were like the price of a laptop now or something like that. So it wasn't like completely accessible.
Right.
But,
Totally.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of like where it grew up from. I don't really know too much else about their formative years. I did read something about Eric Bowden, the drummer. He said he had like professional musicians in his family.
Okay.
And so within his family, it was kind of normalized, or at least to him, achievable to make a living out of music, because he had family members that were doing it, like other drummers and stuff like that were professional musicians. So
I did see one. I think it's the same guy.
Yeah.
Eric, and I think he was in a choir.
Okay.
In school.
Yeah.
In the early days, like junior high or high school, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Just that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Little tidbit.
Little.
So they're young. There's some cool kids in Sweden start making some music, and they release their self-titled album. Do we have any info on how they came about creating that? It came out in 2007. What's the lead up to that?
So, like, I think, it evolved from them being in high school, listening to music, to jamming, to, like, some of the guys assembling gear and, starting to produce music. And I think they had other friends that were, like, making music that started releasing stuff before them. Because Yuki said for the longest time, they just spent a lot of time just in the studio writing and recording, and not even really thinking about how it could be released or when it could be released. And they saw some friends release stuff, and they started to get their brains thinking about, oh, okay, well, that's cool. My friends are doing it. Also at the same time, MySpace was a big thing, MySpace Music. And Little Dragon were uploading a lot of their material to MySpace Music. And they were like sort of getting listeners from all around the world, just through that. I remember those days as well. I found so much good music at that time. Just like bands that no one else knows of, that weren't really like released. They were indie bands. I found some cool people in San Francisco that were doing. I liked some of these artists so much, I would go back to their MySpace page and like play the songs that they had available there. Like,
that says a lot. It's high praise.
Because there was no other way to listen to their stuff back then.
That's where it was.
That's where it was, yeah. And so Little Dragon had that experience as well. I think Yuki even said, oh, there's people from Los Angeles like listening to us. Oh, there's another person, It was a big deal back then, infancy of the internet. And it's kind of the only place to put your music out online that meant people would come across it.
It was a cool spot to hang out online.
Yeah. So
I wasn't allowed to have a MySpace, so I never had one.
Ah, damn. Yeah. So you didn't experience the exploring music on MySpace?
No,
Okay. Yeah.
I've barely even seen what it looks like. I just, I've looked it up from time to time or whatever, but no experience there.
I think my MySpace page is still up, actually. Let me just look this up.
You better pull it up on the screen for everybody to see if you do. There it is.
There's myspace.com/jpurcell. It's so old that the images don't load anymore.
Do you have any music on there?
I have 5 tracks on there, but if you try to play them, none of them will work. That's just how old this web. But for some reason, they kept my page up there.
It's all broken down.
But it's all broken. Let's see if Little Dragons is there. I'm curious now.
A little on-the-fly research.
Yeah.
What do we got?
Same thing. I don't know if it's the same. It is them, yeah. If you go to myspace.com/Little Dragon, they also have a broken MySpace page with 5 songs as well that you can't play. So
it's not just Jay.
It's not just me, yeah.
It's big bands like Little Dragon too.
Oh, and look at this. They call themselves Dreamy, Rhythmical, Shifting, Moody Rainbow Sounds.
Sounds very MySpacey.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, anyway, let's do our podcast and then we can look at the internet.
Yeah, sorry, I know there's like a whole early bio that they wrote.
You want to read it?
And stuff like that.
Early Little Dragon's bio from their original MySpace?
No, it looks like this was updated. But it does say formed in Gothenburg, Sweden in 1996. then it does talk about gorillas and subtracts and stuff. So some
Somebody-
point at
But
time,
that's
it was
not right
updated.
though, because I saw in an interview and the interviewer said,
Mm-hmm.
"So you guys started in 2006, or I mean 1996,"
Yeah,
and
and they said no.
and like Yuki was like, "No,
Mm.
like we started the band in 2005."
Okay, yeah,
So something was mixed up there. I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on,
interesting.
but Yuki said 2005. I'm gonna trust her.
Yeah, for sure. It came straight out of her mouth.
Yeah.
So that's the truth right there.
One way or another,
yeah.
let's talk Little Dragon, as in the album, 2007.
Yeah.
It's a fusion of left field jazz, R&B, and hip hop flavorings, and it found like a cult audience, I guess. I don't know if this was ever put up on MySpace. That might have been past.
No, well, I guess it was around the time where MySpace was still out.
Yeah.
But it would have been a proper album. So back then, still, you could actually probably release an album and make money from it in 2007. Because, I mean, Napster had died. There was still some file sharing services. There was no like music streaming platforms like Spotify.
Right.
There was iTunes though.
That was just coming up.
I think probably like iTunes was the only place to buy digital music. I don't know if there was somewhere else like Rhapsody or something like that.
No. Oh, there was LimeWire where you could steal free music or whatever.
Yeah, that was the file sharing thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to buy digital music, I feel like Apple will probably like
They
leading the
pioneered
pack.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
They penetrated that market.
yeah,
People wanted
yeah.
the music. It's just a great album. We've already described their sound, and
Yeah.
this was their sound. They came out pretty strong
Yep.
and pretty good.
Yeah.
And it was a full length great album, basically.
Yeah.
A great debut. One of the important things was they did get a pretty big boost because one of their songs was featured on Grey's Anatomy in 2007, 2009,
Right.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
The 2008, 2009 season.
Right.
And it was a hushed piano ballad called Twice off that first album.
Which actually I think appeared on their very very first official release was a vinyl, double-sided vinyl. So an A-side, B-side, and Twice was on one side, and I think they had another track called Test. I think both of these tracks ended up being on the Little Dragon album as well, but just wanted to throw that out there.
No, nice.
First release vinyl, yeah. So
So they did it big. Were they signed to any label or were they independent?
yeah, they were signed to Peace Frog Records, which is a UK record label founded in 1991. I guess they put out other things like DJ Shadow stuff, and I'm just looking
Okay.
this up right now.
So they're in the scene though.
They've done a bunch of things. Eminem they've put out, like not obviously Eminem wasn't signed to them, but I guess like as sort of like a distributor, sort of indie label in the UK, putting out a lot of things. But yeah, but they did produce this album by themselves before they had any management or a record label. They said.
So as far as
yeah.
production goes, it was DIY.
It was all DIY. Yeah.
Impressive.
Yeah, and so I think they somehow got the deal. I don't know the details of how they got that deal for the first album, but initially writing, recording, the whole process completely DIY. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just move along. Not long after that is when like Gorillaz was making their big come up, basically. And Plastic Beach was released around 2009, 2010 ish. Maybe 2008?
2010.
2010, yeah. So there was
Yeah.
plenty of time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You kind of told the story at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't want to rehash it, but we're talking about Plastic Beach, and Little Dragon was featured on a song called Empire Ants.
Right.
And I guess they were on another song called To Binge.
Okay. On the same album.
I think. I don't know if it was a
Okay.
B-side or a different. It was not on the album, but it was a B-side release or something.
Right.
I just saw that note, so I wrote it down.
It's on the album as well. Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So 2 tracks.
Yeah.
Empire Ants, especially a great track. So they release an album, and then Damon Albarn's girlfriend is like, "You guys should do a collab with Little
them.
Dragons."
Yeah.
I'm just like
Yeah.
speculating.
Yeah.
She's like, they have one album out, and she's like, "This band's good. You should collab with them."
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, and so Damon Albarn did,
Yeah. I think so.
and they hooked it up, and they did it. Okay, that's just amazing.
From what I hear from Damon Albarn, he's very. I've seen clips of him being an arsehole in the studio, but kind of a creative arsehole where he's sort of like not happy with how things are sounding, and he's like, no, we have to work harder and all this sort of stuff, you know. I think there's like a Gorillaz behind the scenes documentary that came out years ago.
I need to see that.
You can maybe find clips of it on YouTube. I definitely saw parts of it. Like, it's really interesting.
I've mostly only seen Damon being like super chill in an interview, and he's just like chill guy.
No, exactly, yeah. I don't know. I think there's a Blur documentary as well that shows some early behind the scenes clips of,
Nice.
you know, and he's just like that. I can't remember whether it was Blur or Gorillaz. They were recording an orchestra, and it just wasn't sounding right, like a small orchestra, not a massive, but a small, still string people. And he was in the control room, and he was just like, if you can't do this right, we shouldn't even like bother. Like, he was like that whole thing.
But he's got high standards.
But from what else I've heard, I mean, we did an episode on Little Sims, and she collaborated on a Gorillaz track, and she said that he was very much, you know, just like, don't think about this as a Gorillaz thing. Just think about what you would do. You know, this is like your session now. Like, do whatever you want to do, kind of thing.
Right.
Because that's the interesting thing if you think about Gorillaz. Like, it has all the image and it has all the marketing, but at the end of the day, it's just music.
Right.
You know, if you forget about the visuals and how it's represented, it's just music. Like,
it's just vibrating particles in the air hitting your eardrums.
And it's interesting, actually, like Yuki from Little Dragon said, and I hope it's okay I'm calling her Yuki, because I heard other band members call her by that the shorter version of the name. But she said about finding artwork that Little Dragon does. Back in the day, they used to like try and find other artists that were doing really cool stuff, like visuals, like both graphic design and like video visuals. And instead of creating their own from scratch, they would like team up with these people that were already doing cool stuff. Because she said it like also enhances the sound of like the music. You know, once you like pair those cool visuals that other people are producing with the music that you've created, it like creates this new like world and experience for the fans. And I mean, that's definitely something Gorillaz do. And you know, that's when I heard Yuki in my research say about that really sort of started to like trigger off some ideas in my head as well. It's like how you can like change the perception maybe of the music by how it's presented visually. Like,
that could be very
video and all that. Like, but
that's a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's experiencing that. The video is becoming more prominent in our society in general.
Yeah.
In advertising and in everything.
Well, even back in the day, like I associate some big tracks with seeing their music videos first. Like a lot of like maybe like Radiohead and
you see it presented for the first time as the music video, and it's a visual audio thing.
And now you have that image in your head when you think about like, because they create this visual world, and if they've done it right, they've kind of like replicated what the atmosphere of the music or the album was as well.
Yeah,
like, you know,
just to engage with the listener even that much more.
Yeah, and it's just like, actually now we're talking about, now I'm thinking about it, it's like that's actually a really important thing, and especially now with social media where it's all visual. Like the top two social media platforms that any artist uses, Instagram and TikTok, or YouTube as well, all visual. Like if you can, as an artist, you know,
if you can utilize
communicate some really bold visual. I don't see many artists doing good, bold, inspiring visuals. Through these platforms. Anyway, sorry.
No, 100%. No, it's a great thing for artists to know. I mean, do video stuff. It's very valuable.
Yeah.
Once you have a really good video presenting your art, whether it's painting or drawing or music, and you're performing it, and it's on YouTube forever, incredibly valuable. Yeah. It's unlimited. So, I mean, do video. Yeah. So just in this time period from 2007 to 2010, they were on Plastic Beach. Little Dragon was on Plastic Beach with Gorillaz. Yeah. They did additional studio collaboration with David Sitex. Sitex, is that it? Yeah.
Maybe. Okay, yeah. I think I've heard the name before,
okay.
But I'm not sure.
Thank goodness you did, because I was getting it wrong. And he had a project called Maximum Balloon. Okay. I think a track called If You Return. Okay. They were on a track with Raphael Sadiq, who we did an episode on, I believe, called Just Don't.
Okay.
And then, like you said, subtract a track called Wildfire.
Yeah, it's
Good track,
great
you
track.
said.
Yeah.
And so this was just increasing their visibility.
Yeah,
You know.
I mean, they also went on tour with Gorillaz, opened up
Oh, you're
on
right.
the Plastic Beach tour as well, which like obviously exposed them to even more people, you know, because those are some big tours, the Gorillaz, you know, audience. These days, I don't know, Plastic Beach, were they as big back then? I don't know. But,
Gorillaz?
yeah.
I mean, like I said, I
Stadium-wise.
think they were on their come up. Like that's one of the albums that was like,
It's like the
oh, these
second
guys are
album.
legit.
Yeah.
I think so, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the third album came out like 2010,
Right.
or 11, somewhere in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about Gorillaz today, so I didn't do my research. But yeah, so they're coming right out of the gate. Great
Yeah.
album, DIY.
Yeah.
Put it out, and they're with Gorillaz, Raphael Sadiq,
Yeah.
David Sitek, doing big things.
Yeah.
Like right out the gate. It's really impressive.
Yeah.
So let's move on. They just keep doing their thing. They're on tour.
Yeah.
They're hooking up with people. Like I think they have management at this time, and they're signed to a label.
Yeah. Peace Frog Records.
Mm-hmm. So then Machine Dreams is their follow up.
Yeah.
And that comes out 2009.
Yep. Yeah, we opened up with a track from that, Feather, which I thought was really catchy and really memorable type of tune. I don't know, because of the synths in it or something like that. It's got
It builds up. It's a lot of energy
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have much more. It's just more good stuff. They just created more. I'm speculating they're trying to figure out their own vibe.
Right.
You know, seeing how they work with each other and what they can create using all of their, like I said before, they all have really like strong conviction over what they want to create and how much energy they want to put into the tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess let me just touch on this real quick because it's kind of the creative mindset portion of what we like to talk about. They all make beats, and so they all had a studio set up.
Yeah.
Like they had a studio set up, but they each had different rooms where they could create.
Right. Yeah.
As far as I understand. And so Yuki is the singer in the band, and she would work with each individual member in the different rooms, producing different tracks.
Yeah.
And just like help them along and you know, communicate and talk like we should go this way, we should do this, that with each of the individuals, and then they would come together and you know, round everything out and put each other's parts on other people's projects.
Yeah.
And that's how the music is created.
Yeah.
And it seems like a very cool setup.
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard one of the band members say it's kind of like having 3 duos in the same band, because like they'll each work on separate ideas, then they'll each just by themselves get together with Yuki to do the vocals, and then they'll all come together to like finish off the track kind of thing.
And make it a true Little Dragons
Yeah.
you know, material.
I mean, yeah. And let's get more into that stuff because it's really interesting. But let's play this track that you picked out. It looks like this is a single. I'm not sure what album's off. Best Friends. Do you know what album?
I don't either. I just know it was a good track, so I liked it.
We'll look it out. All right, look it up.
We were so young, it was midsummer. Us imagining when to pick flowers. You were my only friend.
track called Best Friends by Little Dragon. That I looked it up. That did come out just as a B-side, I think, to a single called Sway Daisy.
Okay.
It was released like between their last two albums, just as a 12-inch.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I just came across that. I thought it was a dope track that we should
it's really
feature.
good. It's very. It's kind of like, well, this. I mean, the title of it leads me into talking also all about them as a group, best friends.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was planning ahead. I'm just kidding.
Also, musically, reminds me of something that they were saying about how sometimes they have a lot of respect for like traditional song structure and pop songs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of inspired by that, but they say what they kind of do is they kind of twist that all up, though, in their own way, sort of thing.
Right.
And you can kind of feel it in that song. Like, to me, it's poppy, but it's like not. It's not Ariana Grande or whatever.
It's not bubblegum.
It's not bubblegum pop, but it's poppy.
And that's
soulful.
the crux of what I love about this band.
Yeah,
it's structured and poppy.
Yeah.
Like in the feel, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's more R&B,
right,
indie,
yeah,
even synthy pop.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, they're influenced by pop and classic songwriting.
Right. Yeah.
And then they just do whatever they want within those little bounds.
Yeah.
So
because I think you could play that last track maybe alongside Weekend, but in comparison, I feel like Weekend is like way more hooky and poppy and repetitive.
Yeah.
Versus Little Dragon. I guess that's the difference between a lot of like the what we call the bubblegum pop is they like repeat like the hook so much that it's repetitive in the song kind of thing.
It forces you to get into it.
Yeah, they sort of pare down the lyrics, whereas Little Dragon, they have more lyrics, they have more, they're not just like repeating the same 2-line phrase or whatever. Like,
right.
It's like,
No.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I think that's very cool. I like their style.
Yeah, and best friends. I mean, it's a challenge, right, to be in any band for any length of time.
Do they consider themselves best friends?
I think they do. Yeah. I mean,
seems like
probably family more than friends. It's like family at this point.
You're probably right.
Although I did say, I think one of them mentioned in an interview that like it's more like an intense love relationship.
I mean, yeah.
So like yeah.
Making music with other people is a very intimate experience.
It is, yeah. Actually, if no one's ever done this, I'm sure we have some musicians out there, but like, it's a form of communication, and
yeah,
I think we've probably talked about this on many episodes beforehand. But like yeah, you can say very few words to the people in the room, but if you're playing music and it all comes together really well, like it vibes really well, it's kind of like you already know each other already. Like,
yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, you're into the same shit I'm into.
Yeah.
Or like I knew like I was like gonna anticipate what you were gonna do then, and it happened.
It's so weird.
Like that. Yeah.
Like we went to the same chord at the same time.
Exactly,
like we wanted to go here, and we felt that.
Yeah. And it is and that's a lot of what Little Dragons say about is like when they're writing music is like they're trying to get out of their head, and they're trying to bring it from the gut, and they're trying to have fun. And there was one, I can't remember which member of the band said this, but it was really interesting. It was basically like, he said something along the lines of like, when you first get into music, it's probably when you're at a young age, right? And there's something about it that like draws you to it. Like, what age you were at or I was at when we were like first like, oh, I want to play music. I want to do that kind of thing. And he said it as like, now he's like, every time he progresses in making music, he's trying to find that same like magical moment of
right.
like that feeling of when he first heard something that inspired him to want to create music, or so it was very sort of like, yeah, it's like really nice way
fun.
But I just having fun, the sense of childness play,
right, like creativity, like I mean, like, yeah, like getting in touch with your inner child.
Right.
Like even people like spiritual, guru type people like say, and whatever, doctors, just people.
Yeah.
They say like, get in touch with your inner child.
Right.
Because that's you. Not like I have to do my taxes, I got to go to work. Like that's just like distractions from our messed up society.
Right.
But we should try to be that inner child inside of us that just wants to have fun.
Yeah, you want to reconnect with that sense of play and curiosity.
Exactly. Yes.
And also, like, I feel like as children, you know, we don't have so much of our conscious brain on us. Everything we do as children is very subconscious, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, just like right off the cuff, like, I want this now. Let's do it now.
Yeah.
Not thinking about consequences at every decision that you make.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, that's a very interesting thing because, like, as we grow as humans, like, we come from this sort of innocent childhood age where we're not thinking consciously about these things. The older we get, the more we question ourselves, the more we get in our heads and stuff like that. But in order to really create art, and this is what like Little Dragon was saying, they have to like get away from that conscious sort of adult way of thinking about things and really come out of that and go into the play, the childhood sense of wonder, and not be thinking about what they're making instead of just trying to tune into like the gut kind of intuition or whatever. It's very like esoteric and hard to explain, I think, but I think people get it, like maybe like
I think you're explaining it very well.
Yeah,
not just having fun, not thinking about goals.
Right. Yeah.
Like, well, we have to play Madison Square Garden next year.
Exactly,
that's our goal, so we have to make a really good track right now.
Yeah. Because that's not what people are interested into that are listening to music, you know.
Yeah, that's not why. Yeah, nobody cares about your goals when they're listening to your track.
Yeah, I mean, there's different.
I mean, a little bit
different kind of responses to music, but but even at the pop level, like the mainstream thing, you know, there are a lot of people that like those tracks because of like the simple lyrics, like "I don't care" or whatever. Like it's just kind of like energy. This is how I'm feeling.
In
like,
the moment,
you know,
being in the moment, present now.
Yeah. And like, I think it's the same for like people, other music listeners that don't listen to like pop music, but like listen to Little Dragon, where it's like, you can tell, I think these types of listeners, maybe the people that listen to Little Dragon are a little bit more, we want authenticity, we like honesty, that's why we don't listen to pop music, because that's all commercial and contrived and you know, the thing they're saying was written by like 30 different people, you know?
Yeah, no, exactly. Literally.
You know, yeah, exactly. Whereas like Little Dragon, like it's written by her or like with input from the other guys in the band kind of thing. And it's personal and it's intimate and it tells a story and
with no intention besides telling their story.
Exactly, yeah.
No agenda.
Yeah.
To like win a Grammy or this or that.
Exactly, yeah. And that's like, I think we said this, but you know, there's many different ways in music to make a career and to approach it, right?
Yes.
You know, and I think we need it all in this world. We can't just have one. I think it's fine that we have pop stars and vacuous music because then it sort of gives you something to compare like to other types of music. You know, I don't know. Like,
no, sure.
Find your place and
it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
It's all good.
Yeah.
If you want to be a pop star, be a pop star.
Right. But I think where we fall on Roots to Grooves is more into like genuine artists that have something to say, right? Like,
we fall into people who are trying to tell a story and trying to figure out who they are and what their place is in the world. Yeah. You know, people who are creatively exploring. Yeah. I think we tend to go towards people who are on an adventure. Right. And don't know what they're going to find, but they're trying to find it. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that makes sense.
I think I'm learning more about like on this. I think this is a pivotal episode for me, even though we haven't talked much about Little Dragon. I feel like we haven't talked much, but they've inspired. Like I think, but
however it happens, they're inspiring, and that's huge. That's poignant.
But yeah, like just thinking about what you just said about people that are on a journey that have something to say. Like that's like. As a musician trying to do music, like I'm not a singer and I don't write lyrics, but I'm trying to think about how I could apply that feeling in my instrument. Right. Like how can I contribute in that way to make this happen. And I feel like with Little Dragon, it's kind of that way. I think they've sort of considered things like about doing backup singing, like the other guys kind of thing, about how they can like contribute in different ways to the music sort of thing, but very much in their own way through the production, and like, you know, they're expressing themselves through their instruments, which is really interesting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that it's harder to quantify.
Yeah.
You know, but these people making beats, and when you vibe with a beat,
Yeah.
that came from someone's heart.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let's move it on. Let's keep the narrative going. We got next album up that they release is Ritual Union. Mm-hmm. And this was really a true international commercial success. It came out July 2011. It peaked at number 47 on the Swedish national chart. It was number 22 on the UK chart, and was 78 in the US chart. Yeah. I think Billboard, does that mean?
Billboard 100? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't follow that too closely, but
either, yeah.
but it did. I don't know if this. I think this is US. It hit number 4 on the dance electronic chart.
Okay.
So big stuff.
Yeah.
You know, just higher accolades.
Right.
So they continue their trajectory upwards, basically.
Yeah.
And I think it's just more good stuff.
Yeah.
More integrated, like synthy pop, R&B type stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very good.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'll say it till the day I die, but their whole discography it's nonstop high value stuff.
Yeah.
And then so next album is, if we're cool to move on.
Yeah.
Let's roll through Nabuma. Nabuma Rubber Band.
Nabuma Rubber Band, yeah. Is an album, 2014. Different label this time. They signed to Because Music, French record label.
It was nominated for a Grammy.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For the category of Best Dance Electronic Album.
Okay.
So they're really hitting the dance electronic vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was Robin Hannibal and Dave from De La Soul. They were on multiple tracks, I guess.
Oh, on that album?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And the Gothenburg Symphony Orchestra was also on there.
Damn.
So, I mean, just they're really collabing and stepping it up.
Yeah.
I think I just have some notes. They drew inspiration from Prince, Janet Jackson. So some big poppy influence, as we've said. And then also some dark, cold winter environment vibes from Sweden. Okay. And they were influenced by that a little bit as well.
Yeah.
The one other note I have, it was the first LP from Loma Vista, which is a label in the US, I believe.
Okay.
And also another label called Because Music.
Right. Yeah.
So it was like a double release. I don't know if it was probably like a distribution and publishing. They were doing different things. Yeah,
I guess kind of weird and murky with that stuff, especially in different countries. Like you have different record labels putting out different things.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know the specifics about that, but just for some notes, if you want to look up more stuff, you got somewhere to start. Yeah. And so, I mean, again, another good band or another good album, another good release. That was 2014. Over the next couple of years, Little Dragon, they headlined with Odessa, who's also from Seattle, I think.
I think so, yeah.
I believe. I think they're more like worldwide now. They've made it out of Seattle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think they came from here.
I think so, yeah.
We'll do an episode on them one day.
Yeah. Now they live in an ivory tower.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside of Seattle. Yeah.
The tallest building in the land.
Yeah.
They did something with Mac Miller, a track called The Festival. Kaytranada, track called Bullets. Flume, track called Take a Chance.
Okay.
So look this stuff up. It's great.
Yeah.
I didn't look up every single thing they did, but it's all good.
Do we know what level of collaboration? Like, is it all the guys, or is it just Yuki providing vocals? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I wish I did.
Yeah. But the thing is that I've seen about them is, and it ties into how they've stayed together for so long, is that they split everything equally between each other in Little Dragon. I don't know whether that extends to like royalties on a feature on like a Flume track or whatever kind of thing, but definitely like the way that they were speaking about it was like on tour. you know, because they're all giving up the equal amount of time sacrifice from their life to
Right.
go on tour kind of thing, that the proceeds and any profits they get from that, they split equally between each other. And they also said if that didn't happen, if it wasn't split equally, then they would have had members walk by now.
I think that's very fair, because I did have that question, and I didn't want to bring up stuff that I didn't know.
Right.
But like when we go back to 2007 era with Gorillaz, I have a feeling that the beat makers in Little Dragon, the other three guys, didn't have a part in that track. I'm totally just guessing.
Yeah.
But I think that was just a Yuki feature on vocals.
Right. Yeah.
But she's representing the band, obviously.
Yeah.
And then when you look at Little Dragon, she can't do what she's doing without the band.
Right.
They're an integral part.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And she's really not like the main person in this band. You know, she's like the singer, and sometimes that comes across as like the front man, leader type. We use words like this.
Well, she also says stuff like she's not, like, you know, because I think she was asked about the whole social media generation and stuff like that, and what, you know, all that entails. And I think she's someone that's not interested in the celebrity of it. Like, she likes to be in the studio writing, recording music, and performing live, like doing interviews, or like she said she's seen other artists that like, oh, they have YouTube channels and they have all this social media presence, and she thinks that's great, but she said that's just not in her personality to do that, like herself, that type of thing. Even she does interviews, but even like being on camera and doing interviews, like some days is easier than others. Like some days she's just like, oh, you know, like all of us, like I remember energy for this, like, you know, especially if you're on tour. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
got all these press people coming up you. You're not going to have that energy every day to be like, you know. But I think that's just not the stuff that's important to her, it seems, either. It's like it really is about the music and the performing, not so much the rest of it that you.
No, and I think that extends to the rest of the band as well.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Exactly.
Which makes them a really powerful unit.
Yeah.
Which is why they've been making music for 25 years now.
Yeah.
Successfully.
Yeah.
And like I just found out about them.
Right. Yeah.
Amazing.
The other thing they talk about a lot is growth as well, personally as well. Like, and it's something I've seen them talk about in really early interviews as well, not just even recently. So it's crazy. It's like, it's kind of like they had their head screwed on early on. It's like they knew they needed to like have that notion in their head before, because they even said like when you start a band, you don't know what's coming at you. Like they literally said you don't know what's coming at you. Yeah,
right.
Because it's kind of like that. If you have any type of success, you don't know.
You can't tell. There's
what's
no
going to come your way, and how do you keep your sanity through that? How do you keep yourself in check so you can be doing the music? Because at the end of the day, like it's not like we're not like living in the freaking 1960s, 70s now, where you can become a super rock star, have a cocaine habit, and just be like this egotistical like motherfucking arsehole. Like, you can't do that anymore. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, you have to like, because if you did get that way, people hopefully would just cancel you now. Like maybe. Like,
I mean, back in the day,
age,
there wasn't the peripheral constant video when you're not on stage. They just see the cool rock star on stage.
Oh, okay, yeah, they just see the stage.
Like, look how dope that guy is.
Yeah.
But now we see the behind the scenes on TikTok right after the show, or you being mean to the fan at the coffee shop the next day.
Right. Yeah. But also that's like a I mean maybe that's stereotypical like type of thing, but that did happen. That did exist. So.
It did.
But like, but yeah, I mean, like now it seems like you can't really do that in music. I think to have any type of success to be, that sort of like, I don't know, or maybe you can. I don't know. Justin Bieber's a bit crazy, so who knows?
It's every story is so individual.
Yeah.
And I hope that's what we're kind of getting across by doing these episodes on individual artists and bands. No story is exactly alike.
They're all different, yeah.
It's amazing, and we've not hit 100 episodes, but there's constant
new
bands
things
happening every day.
There's similarities between artists, but there's similar concepts and themes, I think. some of the things I've been noticing more often, like, or more recently, with like Little Dragon seems to, like, they don't say this, but they, through their interviews, it seems like they really value mental health, like of themselves individually and as a group. And every interview I've seen, going all the way back to, like, 2005 or whatever, they've been saying the same thing, which is completely really interesting to me. Like,
they seemed way ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's like they kind of knew how to keep it together, and not fly off and lose their center or whatever. Like, what makes them make music, that core idea. I think they're very in tune to how they can create good music. Like, it's that childhood sense of play and experimentation with sound they talk about a lot as well. Like, embracing imperfections as well, they said. I think one of the guys said something about, like, a lot of times the best thing you'll do, like this week or maybe this year, will come from a happy accident or a mistake.
Yeah.
Right? And that's something they try to do as well, is like, and I think, like, they also said about how they don't try and, they like the imperfections where you don't go so far that you, like, polish the sound. Like, they like it where it's, like, a little bit, like, unfinished, as if you didn't really have the time to finish it, kind of thing. Like, but they're still, it's interesting because I heard it in that, I think that track, Constant Surprises, I think that was the track where I said the bass and the drums seemed like they were doing two different things. Yeah,
right.
Like, that is kind of like an imperfection, but it's, like, used on purpose, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it could have been something that came from accident, like we talked about Saba doing his vocals over Zoom,
right?
And it was like a delay,
exactly,
and it was like that, but that's what made the track, kind of thing. Like, it could be that way when you're like, you just move something in your computer software and it's out of whack, and then you press play, and it's like, oh, actually that's really fucking cool. I'm going to keep that. Yeah.
And then there you go.
So it's about going with the flow, getting out of your head, tuning into intuition, and embracing mistakes is what I have heard from Little Dragon. Like,
yes.
Yeah. And that's like, if we can just all remember those concepts and try and tune in with that shit, like,
This is Roots to Groove. Thanks, everybody. We're going home. That was it.
Yeah.
That was
We're at 1 hour 10, so we might as well end it there. Sorry.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. I have nothing more to add to what you said.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
Oh, no. I love it, though.
We could do outro spiel.
Do we have anything else?
No, that was like the main thing I wanted to. That I just got from them. And then their music is fantastic. They have a lot of good stuff out there. They've got those great collaborations, but also just that mindset of how they create the music and how they're trying to keep their head screwed on for like the career side of it. Those are the big takeaways I got from Little Dragon.
100%.
Yeah.
I think as far as work that they released, I think they released another album called Season High in 2017. I think they released a track with Raphael Sadiq called Peace of Mind. And then I think they released some other singles. I think they worked with Bad Bad Not Good.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think they did a track or so with that group.
Yeah.
And then, I think they did more stuff with Little Sims, Flying Lotus. They've just been busy.
Yeah.
Through this odd pandemic past couple of years.
Yeah.
And so they've still been coming out with stuff, and I don't think they are really showing any signs of stopping.
Yeah.
But this does bring us up to our current time, 2022.
Yeah.
As far as we've told the story. I have nothing more on Little Dragon.
I had one interesting thing. I don't know if this is an episode thing or an off-air thing.
Well, tell it to me now.
Okay, yeah.
And we'll cut it out if we have to.
No, it's just about how they play live. Because, when they put all these tracks together, they have a lot of different layers and lots of different things going on. But when they play live, they structure it all so they don't have any backing tracks. But they're like pretty much almost replicating the recordings. So they're basically like taking all these samples and like granular kind of deconstructing them so they can trigger each of the sounds, like on drum pads or keyboards and stuff like that. And they said the reason for this is because they want to keep the live show organic. They don't want to use a click track because they want to be able to decide on stage the tempo, like of the
Yeah,
track.
I did think that was interesting. I remember them saying that.
And I guess it's like because they feed off of that energy of the audience, you know, and what's happening in that moment in time, kind of thing. And if they had this thing all queued up with like backing tracks, it's going to be rigid and all that. But they keep it all like so flexible that they can kind of jam with the song and also change its tempo.
Right.
Which I don't know, you know, for musicians that are out there, like if you listen to a lot of their tracks, there's a lot of layers, a lot of samples. That's like a whole art in itself to sort of like figure out how to do all that stuff live.
Right.
Like, through triggering those samples with keyboards and drum pads. So there's no, you're not locked to like a loop that's in 90 BPM or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's a whole, I would like love to meet them and see how they put this live show together just to like learn like how to do that type of thing. Like,
Let me see that. Show me.
Yeah. That was the only other thing that I saw that I wanted to tell you about or talk to you about. But
Yeah. No, I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
I don't have any thoughts other than it's interesting. And I know some artists do use click tracks. I know some don't.
Yeah.
Again, do whatever you want. Do what's best for you and what feels most true to you.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And be the best you can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't want to say what's right or wrong as far as using a click track.
No, it's all up to whoever. I think that, yeah, maybe the thing I get from that is just like the importance of the audience sort of interaction.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times we think about playing a show as just playing in front of someone.
Right.
It's actually should be a two-way sort of thing.
Right.
Know? It's like, you know, here it's kind of like a conversation. Here's what I have to say. Like, what do you have to say? You know.
Yeah, and it's
like,
less of a conversation if I just come to you and I'm just like, hey, I have things to say to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. And if you're doing a show like that, it's gonna come across like that a little bit, even subconsciously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to try to be engaging as a
Yeah.
conversation if you're performing for people.
And it's more esoteric again because it's like it's about the vibe of the room, right? You know, because if you go and play your first two tracks, test the waters, and then everyone's just like standing still, like it's like, well, okay, guys, let's step it up. Come on, let's make these
pivot.
people move.
Let's get the tempo up on this one a little bit. Let's go.
Exactly. Or if they're already like, you know, they're going crazy. It's like maybe we shouldn't play that acoustic song next. Like maybe we should, you know, exactly.
Do that rave EDM song right
exactly.
now. Totally.
But I mean, it's another layer of things to, and Yuki said about that is like, it's another feeling on stage where you have those sort of intense moments with the audience kind of thing. It like brings a new life to the songs as well and stuff like that. It's like
Little Dragon said, like Yuki said, I think it comes back like full circle about being in the moment. Not, you can't just plan to do a show like this or that.
Yeah.
Like vibe with what's happening right now.
Right.
Based on who's there and what room you're in and how it sounds and feels.
Yeah.
And pivot and change and adapt to the current moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Be present.
Yeah.
And on that's Little Dragon, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
We got a cool track to play out with.
One you picked.
Right on.
Yeah.
Should be good. This was a really fun episode. I think we learned a lot. I think it was valuable. If you guys have any tips for us or you want to show us some love, show us some hate, got any cool stories about Little Dragon, hit us up. Jay has got the email.
Roots to Grooves at signalradio.com. That's SIGNL radio.com.
Dreading the day they disappear. It might be me, baby, don't be scared. After the sky shape, we still here. Slow dancing with what's real sincere. I walk down to the harbor in the pitch dark. Heart open, Lord, the peak of it all. Don't you wanna hide it all down? so broken but so unified. Take me apart, take me apart. Trying to let it disappear. It might be me, baby, don't be scared. I kiss the sky, should we still here? Don't kissing now. Leave me a letter, I'll write you too. Write a whole book and get it to you. Or another song, should we still hear? Don't kissing now, let the tongue kissing now.
Roots to Grooves is a production of Signl Radio. For more music and independent culture, visit signalradio.com. That's signl radio.com.